we have to go harder than this administration. We have to go harder, and we have to go harder every single day, because we know and we see daily the harm that they are causing.
Let them meet them face to face.
Come see a pastor from a church in Elizabeth. If you're gonna call them all criminals, come with me. And you know what? None of them have.
And now recently, the president's fight with the Pope.
There is a complete misalignment between what we hear in our communities and what Republicans are doing.
Rob Menendez, he's a fighter. New Jersey, you should be proud of him. Hello, everybody. This is Congressman Adriano Espaillat. I am chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Welcome to the podcast, Tu Caucus. And today we have a special guest, Rob Menendez from the neighboring district in New Jersey. And we're going to talk about how the Congressional Hispanic Caucus has taught everybody else here in Washington how to fight, how to make sure we fight the Trump administration, how to make sure we fight for immigration, how to make sure we fight on behalf of our constituents. Welcome, Rob. Welcome to the Tu Caucus podcast.
Thank you, Chairman. It's great to be on.
Well, this is a great time to talk about the ability that I think we have developed, our membership, to fight for the constituents that we represent, particularly on immigration cases. We recently went to one of the detention centers to visit Pastor Jason, who was there incarcerated. He was ripped away from his family. He was denied his Bible. And we went on Easter week to visit him. And now he's out. Yeah. And so why don't you share some of the work that you've done with Pastor Jason, and also some of the tactics and strategies that you've used to teach everybody else here in D.C. how to fight.
Well, I appreciate your leadership of the CHC and making sure that we're on the front lines of all these fights, whether it's in court or whether it's at these privately run detention centers in New Jersey and across the country. CHC under your leadership has been meeting the moment and making sure that where our constituents are, where our community is, we are there as well, and making sure we're protecting our folks and leading the charge to get us out of this nightmare that we've seen everywhere from New York, New Jersey to Minneapolis under the Trump administration. So, Pastor Jason, I got to visit him yesterday and so thankful that he's out. But the important thing that we need to continue to do is counter the Trump administration's narrative. That's step one that we always have to do, because they lie every single day. Trump lied when he was a candidate. He's lying now. DHS, ICE, they lie daily. And so we need to present people with the facts that the people in these privately run detention centers, they're not criminals. They have no criminal record, right? Most of them are trying to go through this broken immigration system that we have and trying to do it the right way, and they're still getting picked up. So when people understand that and understand that faith leaders like Pastor Jason are being detained on Holy Week, I think that shocks the conscience of a lot of people, because it's completely counter to what the administration has said.
Now, I see you do it before. This is not the first time that you've been at that detention center or in any detention center in Jersey. You have been leading the fight, visiting, and we went to court to ensure that our rights, our constitutional rights, to be able to visit any detention center at any time with any prior notice be upheld. And the courts upheld that. And that's what gave us the ability to go there unannounced and be able to see the conditions of these privately run facilities. So tell us a little bit about, your experience in other detention centers, the case in court that gave us the right that is already enshrined in the Constitution for us to be able to have oversight over DHS.
Yeah, so and it was then Secretary Noem that was trying to prevent us from going to these privately run detention centers. And it's another important thing for people to realize, their tax dollars are being used to pay for private operators, public companies like the Geo Group and Core Civic, to make money detaining their neighbors, right? That's important for people to understand. And because, at least for one, the Geo Group, they're getting paid over $1 billion at Delaney Hall in Newark, right? So we have a right to go in and make sure that we're conducting oversight of their facility, of their treatment of these individuals. Because there's people also have to remember, it's not just young men there. There's elderly men there. There's women there. There's a woman at Delaney Hall who had given birth just a couple of months ago. and is not with her daughter.
And as you say, most of them, the vast majority of them, don't have a criminal record. These are mom and dads on their way to work
Small
that have been
business
stopped,
owners.
cuffed, and arrested, and now waiting
right.
to be deported.
Correct. And the conditions there are deplorable, right? People go in, healthy individuals, when they're being held, at least at Delaney Hall, they get sicker there, right? Just as one data point, there's about 800 people being detained at Delaney Hall. There's seven healthcare professionals there. That's over 100-to-1 ratio, right?
And one of the things that I noticed when I went with you to visit the pastor was that in his cell block, at least 6 of the men there were chronically coughing all the time. And they complain of the quality of air there.
Yep.
And so that seems to be a big problem.
A huge problem. And the health, the conditions of the facility, it's poorly ventilated, which is why so many people are getting sick. And then, they're malnourished because the food there is barely edible. And again, this is our taxpayer dollars that are going to this, over $1 billion at Delaney Hall alone. And they're trying, under then Secretary Noem, to purchase even more facilities, offering double the asking price of people would sell them.
She's gone now, and I got to commend you because we led a Tu Caucus press conference in front of DHS asking for her to step down way before she stepped down. So we pushed hard, again, showing the rest of the team here how to fight, pushing to make sure she got out of there. She wasn't up for the job, and obviously she was violating many people's rights.
Yeah, again, CHC's been leading the charge, right? Whether it's our CHC members on Homeland Security, when they had Secretary Noem appear before her, but just continuing to push and not letting people be complacent with the work that we're doing. The Democratic Caucus is doing a lot of important work, but when as part of CHC, we know that our community is most directly impacted by the Trump administration. And that's why it's important under your leadership that we continue to do what we've done successfully on a number of initiatives that you've led, because we have to go harder than this administration. We have to go harder, and we have to go harder every single day, because we know and we see daily the harm that they are causing. That means that we have to go harder, and you've pointed to a number of successes that we've had, and we're going to keep going because there's a lot more that we have to do.
So whether it is in the courtroom where we have some successes, not only with access to detention centers, but also preventing the IRS, and today is tax day, from sharing confidential ITIN, taxpayer information, with ICE or other law enforcement agency, whether it is dismantling ARC, that's an entity that's put together by the airlines that was selling passenger data to ICE, or other initiatives in the court to ensure that ICE is not a runaway train. So we're in the courtroom as plaintiffs and through amicus briefs as friends of the court. We're also fighting legislatively and budgetarily, ensuring that ICE doesn't get access to all that money that it was allotted in the big ugly bill.
By Republicans.
By Republicans, right?
Yeah.
And finally, shaping public sentiment. I think we've done a great job. We now see how the American people see immigration as a positive thing. And of course, we've seen people like Senator Alex Padilla get body slammed on the floor. Some of our members out in California got exposed to chemicals and tear gas. And so we have been at the forefront fighting, showing Washington how to fight back on the immigration issue. And you have been one of the leaders. So what is next? What is next on your agenda, Rob, on the immigration front?
So we're going to continue to work with our community to see what issues are most pressing, right? That's one of the things that we do in our role as Vice Chair of Policy, is to get information from the community and take it to Washington so we can act on the things that are most important to people. We're going to continue to press this administration, right? And we have a new Secretary of DHS. He needs to be held accountable every single day, and he needs to know we're going to stay on him every single day. And just replacing one bad person with another person does not get rid of the harm that DHS has caused. So we're going to be on them every single day. We're going to continue the fight here in Washington on the appropriations fund, the funding front, to try to limit what Republicans want to do, and then eventually in the next Congress claw back money that ICE has had. We're going to continue to work with our state partners, with our counties, with our municipalities, so that every level of government's working together, including with the outside groups as well. We're going to challenge, like I've challenged my own state because they have an investment in Palantir. And Palantir is one of the companies that's working with the administration to create sophisticated technology that's harming our community. So we've called for our state to divest from Palantir. We're going to be on every single thing. And if anyone thinks they can work with this administration and not get caught in our crosshairs, they're wrong. If anyone thinks that they can be silent, they're wrong. So I've challenged the 3 Republicans from New Jersey that if they're going to continue to peddle the lies of this administration, then come with me to Delaney Hall. If you're going to say these people are criminals, come with me.
Let them meet them face to face.
Come see a pastor from a church in Elizabeth. If you're going to call them all criminals, come with me. And you know what? None of them have. So we're going to stay on them. We're going to stay on them. If they think they're going to be able to get away by just being silent, they're wrong. So we're going to be on this on all fronts, and we think about it, as I know you do, every single day, and we're never going to stop.
So here you have Rob Menendez throwing the first punch, leading the fight here in D.C., showing Washington how to fight the Trump administration on the immigration front. But obviously your district is much more than immigration, and you're doing a wonderful job, Representative, that district. Would you like to share some of your initiatives with the viewership?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Chairman. You know, listen, we know that there's an affordability crisis out there and that too many families are struggling to get by to keep their heads above water. So on a number of issues, we've been thinking about how can we help people with the affordability challenges that they're having. We've done a lot of work on the care economy, right? I have 2 young kids, so I think about child care, I think about elder care and making sure that the folks in my generation who have both the challenges of taking care of their elders and taking care of their children have the support that they need. We need to uplift small businesses, we need to protect our workers, and we need to drive down the cost of health care. As you know, right, in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Republicans stripped $1 trillion out of Medicaid. They allowed the Obama...
And they gave some of that money to ICE for building the beds and hiring new ICE agents.
Correct. Absolutely right. There is a complete misalignment between what we hear in our communities and what Republicans are doing, right? They're cutting money from healthcare, and back home, everyone's saying that the cost of healthcare is too expensive. They're greenlighting this war in Iran. That's a Republican war, and it's causing the price of gasoline to go up $1.20 since the start of the war. And the price of everything else is going to increase. Tariffs. President's great idea on tariffs, right? More expensive for everyone. And
drove the economy crazy. And so the war, the tariffs, the handling, obviously, the rogue way of handling immigration.
Yeah.
And now recently, the president's fight with the Pope. Now talk to me about that one.
I mean, what else do the American people need to see? Now remember, not just a fight with the Pope, right? Not just having disagreements with the Pope, right? But also a day later depicting himself as Jesus. Like, I don't know what the American people need to see to understand this person is not fit to serve as our president, was never fit to serve as our president. And if they voted for him, I'm not looking back. We have to look forward, right? And people need to see that Democrats are the only party that can lead this country forward. And we need to just end this national nightmare that the Trump administration has caused. But it's a disgrace for, think about what we were talking about earlier with Pastor Jason, right? You have the President of the United States fighting with the Pope, right?
And locking up a pastor on Holy Week.
Exactly right. Speaker Pelosi said it best a couple years ago. She said, the Republican Party goes to church to pray on Sunday, and then they pray on our communities every other day of the week. That's the reality of the Republican Party that we're dealing with today.
Here you got Rob Menendez leading the fight here in Washington, D.C., showing Washington how to fight back, how to throw the first punch during these critical times. We thank you for your leadership in your district in the state of New Jersey. We thank you for being a critical member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And together, we'll continue to fight on. Tu Caucus. Tune in for the next one. Rob Menendez, he's a fighter. New Jersey, you should be proud of him.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you for all your work and your leadership.
Thanks for watching Tu Caucus. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. Drop a comment, share this with someone who needs to hear it. And we'll see you next time on Tu Caucus.